I've been using the Google Pixel 6a for a few months now, and honestly, no point beating around the bush. The 6a has no business being this good. Before we get into the video though, I do want to just ask if you enjoy it or you find it useful, please do give it a thumbs up, because it makes me really happy when I see an extra thumbs up and it helps other people find these videos as well. And do remember to subscribe to keep coming back for more videos. The Google Pixel 6a is Google's budget phone for 2022. But despite being a budget version of a higher flagship phone, this might just be the phone for most people to get. So with it being budget, it has a really low price. Now, the price at launch was $399, which is less than half the price of your average flagship. And of course, it's hit sale prices along the way. It reached like $299 on Black Friday, which is crazy. But obviously, to get to that price, sacrifices have to be made. In my opinion, what Google's sacrificed to get to that price point is definitely worth the trade-off. So other than the screen on the front display, this is a mostly plastic phone, but it doesn't feel cheap. It feels solid in the hand. Yes, it's lighter than your metal and glass combination phone, but it still feels robust. It doesn't creak, it doesn't flex. It's a very well-built phone, and you can tell it's not hollow, and even to tap it and feel it, it still feels really good in the hand. Yeah, it doesn't get that cold feel of glass, and it hasn't got that weight of a heavy metal, but it still feels really good. Unlike the way the iPhone go with the iPhone SE, which is the budget iPhone, this still looks like and is easily mistaken for its bigger brother, the Pixel 6. Not the 6 Pro, because the 6 Pro has an extra camera, but it's hard to tell the difference at first glance whether this is a 6 or 6A, and one is half price of the other. So yeah, even on the front, it's not like it's got a bigger chin or a massively bigger bezel. It's very similar in all respects to the Pixel 6. The screen's flat, so there's no curved display. It doesn't have a waterfall on the edge, but for a lot of people, that's a pro, not a con. Now, I know more and more people out there, you see it all the time on Twitter, are preferring a flat screen. I use a Fold as my main device every day, so I'm used to the flat screen. But even when I had the Note series, I remember thinking it looks great having a curved display, but practicality wise, bring back the flat display. So I am #team flat display. So I'm quite happy to see it come to higher priced phones as well. You know, paying an extra £1,000 to have a curve on the screen is just, it's not it. I'd rather have a flat display, more usable surface area. And that flat display is a 6.1 inch 1080p screen as well. So it's not as low down as 720, but no, it's not a quad HD display either. It's nice middle ground, and for the majority of people out there aren't pixel peeping, and it looks fluid, it looks smooth. Yes, it is 60Hz display, and it has got a lot of stick for being only 60Hz, but there are other phones out there that cost more and are still 60Hz. iPhone up until 2021 was still using 60Hz screens, and no one batted an eyelid. But now all of a sudden every phone has to have it. No, to me this phone looks and feels fluid. Day-to-day use, I'm not there getting angry going, I wish this had 120Hz. Maybe that's just me, I don't know. I'm not that fixated about it. As long as it looks responsive and works great, awesome. On the back side of the phone, there's no wireless charging to be found, which again is an obvious one. When you're cutting down the price, taking that coil out the back that's going to give you wireless and reverse wireless charging, that's got to be one of the first things to go, right? I mean, majority of people out there still use a wire to charge the phone and are happy to do so. Your flagships are always going to have wireless charging now because it's just something we come to expect. But I still don't think it's caught on and it's efficient and fast enough to warrant being in low priced phones and pushing the price up. Would I have preferred an extra £50 to get wireless charging on the Pixel? No. I do use wireless charging and I use reverse wireless charging, but it's not something I feel hindered by not having. In terms of the cameras, there are 2 cameras on the back. I'm going to get into more detail later, but for now, just on the subject of price, they are older lenses. Nothing wrong with those lenses. They're just not the ones that were used on the Pixel 6, the 50 megapixel main sensor. These are older ones that they used on the Pixel 5 and 4 and 3, and they've done well, so there's no reason to panic over that. But we'll come to that in more detail later on. In terms of sacrifices, that's pretty much it. That's everything Google has cut back on or switched out to keep the price down low on the Pixel 6a. It still keeps the same processor as the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro, which is the Tensor. So you are still getting that flagship experience in terms of the processor and the speed and the fluidity of how you move around the phone and what tasks it's capable of. And this is a phone that's going to get updated for a few years and still going to be able to keep up with the main flagship phones because it's still got the flagship brains, essentially. So as you'd expect, the phone runs really well, really smooth, and it can handle most tasks that you throw at it. Don't think you're going to be unable to multitask or unable to load an app as quickly because it's a budget phone. It's still just as fast as the 6 Pro, for example. Size is a polarizing one. Now, there's no win-win here. Now, as I said before, it's a 6.1 inch display. It's pretty good, solid feel in the hand. It's not dainty, it's not tiny. If you have large hands, you're not going to struggle to use it, but it's not so big that you are going to struggle using it one-handed either. You can still text and type and search and whatever, just using one hand, which is good. I've gamed on this phone, I've wrote articles on this phone when I'm out and about and in a pinch, and honestly, for me, I think this is a sweet spot. Now, I have the Fold, as I mentioned earlier. The main thing I like about that is I have the big display when I want it, and I have a small display when I don't. But that's not a viable option for everyone, especially not at this price point at £399. So you have to choose, unless you're going to carry a tablet and a phone at all times, just in case. You have to choose something that is in the middle. And Pixel is perfect for that, because it is a nice medium size. This is the Goldilocks size phone, in my opinion. It's not too big, not too small, but obviously your mileage may vary. That depends on your hand size and what you do with your phone and how you do it. Before I received the Pixel 6a, I was actually using the 6 Pro for a while, and that's always the way I go. I always go for go big or go home. It's always flagship or nothing. There's no middle ground. If the higher version of the phone to get, I will always go for that. I'm not telling you this to brag or anything like that, but to say I didn't feel like I was missing out with the Pixel 6a. Other than the fact that it hasn't got a telephoto lens, it's just got that 2 camera setup, not the 3 camera setup. I didn't feel like I was missing out at all. And again, to go back to refresh rate, I know some people that's a deal breaker, but for me, no. I felt perfectly happy coming from the 6 Pro to the 6a. Obviously, your circumstances would allow it. I will keep the 6 Pro, but that's a different story. My biggest disappointment with the 6a has been the audio. Now, just like the other Pixels, there's no headphone jack, so that wasn't the issue. My issue is I like to listen to podcasts and audiobooks and even music all the time. But sometimes you can't use headphones, i.e. in the shower. So with every other phone I have no issue putting my phone on the window ledge or on the sink or somewhere in the bathroom and playing whatever I want to listen to while I'm in the shower. With the Pixel 6a, that became impossible. I just couldn't hear, no matter what it was or what app I was using, at maximum volume, I just couldn't hear what I was listening to clearly over the sound of the shower. And that's not a problem with any other device. It's just really quiet. It's not really a full sound, and it doesn't quite reach the volume that I needed to. And again, I appreciate this is quite niche, but that is my main disappointment, and I wouldn't be doing right if I didn't tell you. And don't get me wrong, under the right surroundings, they sound okay, they sound fine. I mean, if I'm showing someone a video while I'm walking down the street, they can probably hear it. It's not going to be blasting, but they'll hear it fine over general noise. But in instances like being in a crowded area or in the shower, then you're just not going to be able to hear it properly. It's one of them cup it and hold it to your ear type scenarios. Now, as I mentioned earlier, some people might be disappointed by this phone's lack of telephoto lens, but honestly, that's where the camera problems end. The cameras themselves aren't anything special on paper, but Google have been using these camera lenses for a while, and they know them and they're comfortable with them. But where Google shines in their photography is with computation. So computational photography on the Pixels is always great. It's always top tier. Pixel 6a continues that legacy. These photos are phenomenal, and usually I would show some generic pictures I've taken of the kids and in the garden out on a walk at this point, but I don't need to and won't, because I'm just going to refer you instead to MKBHD's video up here, where he done a very scientific blind camera test, and the Pixel 6a came out as the overall winner. That's above the Samsung S22 Ultra, above the iPhone 14 Pro Max, above any other phone out there. The overall winner was the Pixel 6a. So honestly, if you haven't seen that before, go and check out that video. When it comes to battery life, the phone's not breaking any records, and it's not going to make any headlines in terms of breaking a 3-day barrier or anything like that. But this is a low-priced budget end phone that does perform surprisingly well. Like, maybe it's down to the processor, maybe it's down to the algorithms, or maybe it's down to the 60 Hz display everyone wants to complain about. But it will easily get through a full day. Whether I'm out and about, whether I'm at home taking phone calls, whether I'm shooting video, taking pictures of the kids, typing up emails, or even gaming. I wrote a cloud gaming article I'm going to link to down the bottom on how the Pixel 6a stands up as a cloud gaming phone. So definitely check that out. But the battery life on it is solid, easily one of the best things about the phone. I know I can comfortably take this phone off the charger. I can take it out all day and not have to worry. I have like real anxiety when it comes to the battery life of my phone. If it's not at 100% when I need to go out, then I will wait. I'll be late because I want to get to 100% before I get to where I'm going. And as soon as it drops to 99, I'm like, oh. It's with Samsung is seconds later. But the point is, the Pixel 6a, I was a lot less worried. I'm not going to say I didn't worry at all, because of course I did, I'm human. But I was less worried with the Pixel 6a than I have been with any other phone for a long time. There's a lot to love with the Pixel 6a, and regardless of budget or what phone you're coming from, I have no problems at all recommending this phone to practically anyone, regardless of who they are, what they do, and what they need from the phone. This seems to tick almost all the boxes. As I say, unless you're zooming in a lot on your photos, then it's probably not for you. But other than that, it's solid, really solid. I don't buy into the whole comparing the iPhone model to Samsung or whatever, but because at the end of the day, someone's probably already made up their side. They already know what side of the fence they're going to. But when you compare the 399 Pixel 6a to the 449 iPhone SE, these look like phones 10 years apart. One's got an under-screen fingerprint sensor, and the other one has a button on the front with large chin and a large forehead. One has 2 cameras on the back, and one has 1 camera on the back. And I think if you are fresh into it, or you're not tied to an ecosystem, save yourself £50 and go for the 6A, because that just wins in every department other than the processor. But I think anyone shopping for a budget phone doesn't need the A13 Bionic or whatever it is in the iPhone SE. And the Tensor chip will do just fine for almost anything you throw at it. I've edited videos on CapCut. I have emailed people all day long. I wrote articles on iWriter. It won't let you down. This is a great phone. I can't sing the praises enough. This is budget phone of the year for me in my eyes. And I would put money on the fact that the Google Pixel 7a, which we'll see later this year, will be budget phone of the year this year as well. Unless they drastically mess up on something, that's going to be the one to watch. That's going to be big competition this year. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And please do remember to subscribe as well for more tech videos. In the meantime, peace.